from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Washington working to push forward as tax reform takes the spotlight. An update on the rising cost of wildfires. In agribusiness, our analysts are preparing for the week ahead.
Well, we learned that it can fool a lot of people real quick.
Machinery Pete checking on used combine prices and helping livestock recover from Hurricane Harvey.
AgDay, presented by the Chevy Silverado. High-strength steel for high-strength dependability.
Good morning. I'm Clinton Griffiths. 5 months after Sonny Perdue was confirmed as Agriculture Secretary, he still doesn't have some of the key deputies in place, but that could change starting this week. The Senate Agriculture Committee planning to hold a hearing on nominees to USDA this week. Committee leaders announcing plans to hold hearings for Ted McKinney and Stephen Sinskey on Tuesday. Now, Sinskey is the current CEO of the American Soybean Association. He should serve as Deputy Secretary of Agriculture. McKinney, Indiana Agriculture Director, was nominated to be the Undersecretary of Agriculture for Trade and Foreign Agricultural Affairs. House Speaker Paul Ryan said Congress has an aggressive timeline for passing a tax reform bill, insisting it will be done by the end of the year. House Ag Committee Chair Mike Conaway saying with the upcoming potential for tax reform, it's important to highlight the unique challenges of the agricultural industry and explore opportunities within the tax code to better support a vibrant farm sector. Ryan says tax reform is one of the GOP's crown issues, and they have to get this done. A Wisconsin Republican saying he wants to avoid the problems that Congress had in repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act, rewriting the tax code, including lowering personal and corporate income tax rates, is a top goal for President Donald Trump and the GOP.
This is a commitment we made to not just Republicans, but to Americans. And that's why I think it's really incredibly important that we deliver on this promise. Because if we do deliver on this promise, we will help people. We will help improve people's lives. We'll get higher wages, faster economic growth, more take-home pay, a simplified tax system, and an American tax code that is built for growth that makes our businesses more competitive so they hire more people in this country.
The American Farm Bureau says tax code changes should allow businesses to deduct expenses when occurred. It's also looking for permanent repeal of federal estate taxes. Short of repeal, the exemption should be increased. Farm Bureau is also pushing for elimination of a capital gains tax. Might there be a potential end of the North American Free Trade Agreement? That's a proposal reportedly being shared at the USTR. Politico reporting that the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative is considering submitting a sunset proposal as the next round of NAFTA negotiations approach. That's a provision that would automatically cancel the deal 5 years after approval if the three countries don't agree to renew it. At least two agencies, including the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the State Department, apparently objecting to the idea. A USDA official saying termination of NAFTA would be devastating for U.S. agricultural economy, and making such a termination automatic greatly increases the likelihood. Now, trading partners in Mexico say having stability and certainty in the deal is vital.
We Mexicans have always looked at grain producers and at farmers in the United States as partners of ours, and we share their same concerns. In the same way that they are trying to pressure their government, we're doing the same. In the end, we hope that common sense will prevail and that our trade relations will go on for a very long time.
New record-setting numbers are out from USDA showing just how expensive wildfires have been in 2017. The department says the cost of battling fires on multiple fronts has now topped $2 billion. Now, this was the scene in Two Dot, Montana just last week as ranchers struggled to save cattle and the land. More than 100 firefighters camping out in Two Dot, fighting to save thousands of acres from the blaze. It's the same story we're hearing from across the West. Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue says it's time to reevaluate the budget of the U.S. Forest Service as fire suppression has gone from 15% of allocated funds to 55% or more. Beyond the flames, the ag states dealing with these major outbreaks are likely to see financial struggles.
The best state would be Minnesota, and then the worst state would be in Kansas. And it's hard to tell in terms of Kansas how much of that, if you remember the wildfires, and how much of that's dragging down agriculture in Kansas.
So I think that it can certainly affect things for farmers and lenders in those areas. Anything that affects production, that would affect revenue, that ultimately affects the ability to repay loans can have an effect, but it tends to be quite regional.
Last week, there were more than 60 wildfires still burning in the western United States. Recent snows and rains falling in the Pacific Northwest, however, are helping to control some of those fires. Mike Hoffman's off this morning, but Cindy Clausen's here with our crop comments from across the country. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Clinton. After a very long, dry, and dangerous summer, Montana is starting to get a reprieve. This is what it looked like Friday morning as snow was falling in north, central, and southwest Montana. Our thanks to the National Weather Service in Great Falls for sharing these pics. Several inches of snow also fell in the mountains, and eastern Idaho got a share of snow as well. Now, of course, those states desperately need moisture. Half of Montana is in the combined categories of D3 and D4, which is the most intense levels of drought. And things are looking maybe a little better for some folks as we head into the week ahead of us. We'll take a look at your national forecast in just a few minutes, but for now, here are some hometown temps.
This is Machinery Pete, inviting you to check out my new website, machinerypete.com. Offering farmers tens of thousands of used equipment listings to search, let Machinery Pete help you find and value your next piece of used equipment.
And new research from Iowa State has found a way to neutralize livestock odors using light. The team found that using black light on surfaces coated with a thin layer of titanium dioxide can help reduce the chemical that causes bad smells. The black light and titanium dioxide have a reaction that reduces the odor by between 40 and 100%. Now, titanium dioxide is a powder used in a lot of things like whiteners and even toothpaste. We've got our analysts in studio, and we'll ask them about marketing in the week ahead. Plus, Machinery Pete is here.
Stay tuned, folks. Coming up, we'll talk values on 10-year-old used combines.
And later, Texans continue to wade through the challenges left by Hurricane Harvey. We'll see how help is coming in for livestock owners impacted by the storm.
Unlock the power of ag technology this December in Indianapolis at the first ever AgTech Expo. Learn all about it at farmjournalagtech.com.
In agribusiness, the Plant-Based Foods Association and the Good Food Institute releasing new data showing that the total market for plant-based food sales is now above $3 billion. Now that's up 8% in just the last year. Plant-based dairy alternatives are the fastest growing segment with 20% growth, now topping $700 million in sales over the past year. That includes cheese, yogurts, and ice cream, but not milks. Plant-based yogurt sales were up nearly 60% last year. Two big input suppliers, Agrium and Potash Corp, receiving unconditional clearance to merge from the Canadian regulatory agency, the Canadian Competition Bureau. The agency concluding that the deal is not likely to lead to a substantial drop in competition for potash and other fertilizers. It's already gotten approval in Russia and Brazil, but the companies still need approvals from the U.S., China, and India. They hope to get those by the end of this year. Well, we're back here at the Agribusiness Desk. It feels like it's been nearly a month since we had people in the studio today. We've got Joe Vaklovic, Standard Grain, Jim Bauer, Bauer Trading. Thank you both for being here. All right, let's talk about that USDA report last week. What did we learn? Jim, we'll start with you.
Well, we learned that it can fool a lot of people real quick and put people in very much a question mode. I think the jury is still out just what the yields are going to be this year. There hasn't been really that much harvesting done. I did pick up from a customer base from Springfield, Illinois to the south, yields coming in about 7 to 11 bushels below last year's, but remember last year's was record yield.
Sure.
As you move further south towards the river down into Kentucky, Tennessee, yields on corn have been quite good, but of course it takes 24 Mississippis to equal the corn production of Iowa. So we got to watch what's coming out of Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio.
Yeah, and Joe, what was your takeaway from that USDA report? Anything that you can say, hey, this is what I'm going to put my finger on?
Well, USDA for the moment is going with the idea that we've got something close to trendline yields in corn or soybeans. No major issues nationally. Some people would disagree with that. So we're going to follow kind of a normal pattern here like we've been doing. We've just gotten into harvest, as Jim mentioned, so you could certainly see a little bit more harvest pressure, especially if USDA's yield numbers are right.
Yeah, so as we go through this week, what keys are you watching in this market, or what information, what fundamentals are you watching to give you any indication of where we're headed?
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I mean, we want to really get an accurate, not an estimate, we need an accurate full-blown precision number, just what these combines are kicking out. Not a guess. How big a field was it? What was the yield? And did it meet your expectations? Did it match what the government said it was going to be in your area? I had a problem all summer with they come out with the weekly crop condition ratings being basically lower or kind of deteriorating. Yet on the monthly reports, they jump everything back up again.
Right.
So we need to get accurate, non-guessed yields.
Yeah, real quick, Joe, what do you think? What are you watching this week?
We'll watch harvest reports. We're going to get a little bit more interested in South America. Brazil's been dry, although it is the dry season there. So those are going to be your two things. Yield and South America is going to be the next thing.
All right, gentlemen, thank you both for being here, starting a week off right. We'll be back with more Ag Day in just a minute.
For a free 2-week trial to Jim's daily global market letter, call Bauer Trading toll free at 1-800-533-8045. For more information about Standard Grain and its services, call Joe at 312-462-4438.
Welcome back to Ag Day. We're with Cindy Clausen. Cindy, as we start the week looking at the jet stream, we saw last week that it got cold in the Pacific Northwest. Looks like more of the same.
Yeah, in fact, it's going to be definitely on the cold side for a lot of the West. Cold and a bit on the stormy side as well. Take a look at the jet stream. And it doesn't look all that bad now until you put it into motion and you really see that trough starting to dig into the northwestern United States. At the same time, you see a ridge building in the east, and that's going to bring some pretty warm air there. But look at this. We're going to be seeing cool and fairly stormy weather right around the U.S.-Canadian border. So Montana, parts of Idaho, North Dakota could be seeing maybe some stormy weather there. Look at that trough all the way down into the southwestern United States with a ridge building up into Canada. So we're going to see a completely different temperature profile depending on if you're in the eastern United States and in the west. We'll start to see the trough kind of become a little bit more zonal as we get towards the end of next weekend and into next week. All right, overall, as we head through this week, precipitation-wise, we're looking at some drier than normal conditions in the eastern parts of the United States as well as the southwest, but above normal precipitation, that's not bad news for those drought-stricken areas in the northwest. We'll see above normal precipitation all the way down through parts of the Corn Belt and into some of the southern plains as well. Temperature-wise, we're looking at above normal temperatures, especially in the far eastern parts of the country, and cooler than normal temperatures out west with that trough, especially for Montana, Idaho, western parts of Wyoming. Now, as we look a little further into the future, we're looking at above normal temperatures for much of the northeastern United States. We're going to look at those cooler temperatures continuing in the northwest, but fairly normal for a lot of the southern part of the United States. Let's look at precipitation because that's a big deal over the next 30 days as a lot of folks are setting out to harvest, and we are looking at above normal in the southeast, above normal for parts of the northern plains and into some of those very dry areas into Montana as well. Looks like we're going to see fairly normal conditions in much of the Great Lakes and most of the Corn Belt, also in the west, but it looks like conditions might be a little on the dry side for western parts of the southern plain states and getting into the far southwest. That's a look at your national forecast. Now let's check on the weather where you live. Orchard City, Colorado, mostly sunny and warm for you today with a high of 81 degrees. Appleton, Wisconsin, mostly sunny, a little cooler for you with a high of 70. And Plum, Pennsylvania, mostly sunny and warm with a high of 80 degrees.
As harvest season rolls on, Machinery Pete shares his insights into the used combine market. That's next, and later, recovering from Hurricane Harvey in the Lone Star State.
Machinery Pete is brought to you by John Deere. Where can you find the most comprehensive inventory of John Deere certified pre-owned tractors, combines, and sprayers? MachineFinder.com. Sometimes the best new addition to your fleet isn't new.
Harvest season is all but here. Machinery Pete knows combines are the key to success. Well, this morning, he's looking at the stories behind recent prices for good used combines. Greg?
All right, folks, let's talk combines today as we move into the busy harvest season here in the Midwest. Now, what I've been seeing the last year or so has been increased buyer demand for the really nice condition, slightly older used combines, 1 or 2 model series older. So if we talk Deere, show me a nice 9670 or 9770 STS at auction last year or so, and I'll show you a very strong sale price most likely. Now if we shift our focus to the same age but red combines, Here's a picture of a 2007 Case IH 2588 with 2,214 engine hours on it that sold last Tuesday, September 12th, on a farm auction in north central Iowa, and it sold for $67,000. Now, I've also seen a pair of 2377s recently of note. Now, here's a picture of one that sold a week ago Friday, September 8th, on a farm auction in west central Ohio. It sold with no heads, had 1,754 engine hours on it, sold for $80,000. And that sale price was very close to another 2377 I saw sold on a farm auction in southwest Minnesota back on August 17th. And here's a picture of it. It was a 2006 model, and this one had 2,197 engine hours on it and sold for $81,750. Now folks, if you're looking for a used combine, you know where to go. MachineryPete.com, almost 6,000 of them listed there for sale for you.
When we come back, weathering the storm. Livestock owners get a helping hand after Hurricane Harvey.
Unlock the power of ag technology this December in Indianapolis at the first ever AgTech Expo. Learn all about it at farmjournalagtech.com.
In the Country, brought to you by Kubota's M5 series, bringing new levels of comfort to hard work. Learn more at Kubota.com or visit your local Kubota dealer today.
The rains may be gone, but the work continues in southeast Texas in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. And while homes and lives are being rebuilt, caring for the impacted livestock remains a major concern. The Texas Farm Bureau takes us to a place of help in Wharton County.
The actual hurricane, when it came in, there wasn't a tremendous amount of damage here to this county from the wind and the initial rain. But the river flooding that came in days later is where the real disaster for Wharton County has occurred. We have the Colorado River that has flooded to levels never seen before, as well as the San Bernard on the east side. So you had areas where two rivers were coming together, were merging, areas that had never had floodwaters on them before. Those individuals that thought that they were out of harm's way ended up having to evacuate themselves out of their homes, get their families to safety, and then they had to deal with their livestock. That is the lifeblood of this community, is agriculture. Well, we have several things going on here at the Wharton County Fairgrounds. We have some rescued dogs. We've got some rescued horses as well as some cattle brought in off of some of the local farm and market roads. In addition to that, we also have a livestock supply point that we have set up, which we have donated feed and hay. We have cattle cubes that are coming in. We've been extremely fortunate that we have several people that have donated hundreds of bales of square hay. We have our local cattle and horse producers that are coming by here to pick it up so they can get some fresh feed and some water and everything that their livestock are going to need. Right here, we're still in rescue mode. There are cowboys on horseback, in boats, and in helicopters that are out trying to rescue cattle and get them to high ground somewhere. We have other areas of the county where we are in recovery mode already, and they're trying to get some feed and get some resources out to their livestock. We have a lot of stranded cattle. A lot of these cattle have swam for miles, some of them, to find high ground, and they can't move any further. So we've got to get some feed and hay to them, to those areas. So we have people that are here with boats that can get to them to get feed and hay out there to where the cattle are. So we have two things going on at one time, and trying to manage those is going very well. We have a tremendous group of dedicated volunteers that have come in from across Texas and some of them across the United States. We're on the front edge, and there's going to be a long way to go. When the water goes down, that's going to be the beginning of it. In a lot of people's minds, they think that once the water goes down, the pastures will dry up and the cattle can get out there. But the grass is going to be dead, and it's going to look like we're in the middle of a drought. And that's going to occur for a couple of months until we can finally get things growing back and green again. It's certainly going to be a month's recovery. I lived here in this community now for 12 years, and it is amazing to me how the community has come together. We've been very fortunate and very thankful for the people from all across the state of Texas that have stepped up to help with this recovery effort.
Our friends at the Texas Farm Bureau say that facility in Wharton County is winding down operations. The livestock have been claimed, and they're still distributing the donated feed. That's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. Start your day with us. For Cindy Clausen and Tyne Morgan, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.
AgDay is powered by Ram Trucks, America's longest-lasting pickups.